Hey there, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Talk Zone. Got a very special episode for you guys. Thanks to Hatfield Media for producing this very special video episode. And also, I'd like to introduce a very special guest. We're going to get into all of his accolades and credits and interests and all of the tricks that he's turned.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Bret Sohl.
So, thank you very much. Hi, Adam. Nice to be on your show. Is this the first video show you've done?
It is of this show.
I
This
feel-
is the very first video episode.
I feel honored to be on the first video presentation of the Talk Zone.
Isn't that great? My
You have,
girlfriend
the,
made that.
You like do. You have that thing, or is that copyrighted? You can't do that one.
Wait, what?
The do.
I mean,
Yeah.
we tried to get it, and I just wanted too much for it. You think
I
it
can
would have
yeah,
lost some value?
Yeah, I
after
think it should
50
be in public
years.
domain by now. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe we'll give it another 30 years.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But
just like Mickey Mouse, you can put him on TV now because he's like the early Mickeys.
I really missed an opportunity there, didn't
Yeah,
I? I should have just had Mickey Mouse as my primary logo, and it would have been confusing at all.
No,
for
not at
people.
all. No. Yeah, it was still old Steamboat Willie right there.
Now, Bret,
Yes.
before we get into it, I need like a rundown of all of the things that you're into. Okay, so
God.
so we know each other through comedy,
Right.
right?
Right.
You do AV during the
Yeah.
day. That's your day gig.
That's the day gig. Yeah, that pays the bills.
We don't care about that.
I know.
You do improv,
Mm-hmm.
and you were just telling me that you're very well credentialed in the magic community. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm part of the. I say I'm part of the magic community. I do magic, a little bit here and there, but I am at the current time. I'm the regional vice president for the Society of American Magicians, which is a fancy way of saying middle management.
Okay.
We have what are called assemblies around the country.
Yeah.
And I oversee 5 states: Kentucky, Indiana, Tennessee, Ohio, and Michigan. And we have assemblies in those states.
Okay.
And I reach out to those assemblies and say, hey, what are you guys doing? What's Magic World going to happen with you guys? And I get that information, and I pass it up the line
Yeah.
to the National Council for those Society of American Magicians.
Okay.
And they kind of take that and, crunch their numbers, do whatever, say, hey, we got some ideas, and they send it back down the line, and I pass it on. I'm just a way of communication between the local groups and the national group.
Now,
That's
how
what
do they communicate the information? Is it done via pigeon? Do they pull things out of hats?
we have white
Is this-
doves. We tie a little rope. No, it's just online stuff. Pick up the phone. We send a report in several times a year. It's what we call the Blue Book, which
Okay.
is a little book that all of the guys can check out, and it's literally all the reports that's going on.
Okay.
It's basically middle management, but
I had no idea that a bureaucracy could be so magical.
it can be. It can be. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you were telling me you
well,
also know.
Well, the cool thing about that, I'm going to back up a second here.
Well, please, yes.
The Society of American Magicians, one of the presidents at one time was Houdini.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, he was president for several years. So it's kind of a nice little lineage to have.
So you're saying you have the same position as Houdini? Is that what you're saying?
No. He was president. I'm like way down the line.
You're assistant to the regional.
Yeah.
Well, you're the regional.
Yeah, like Dwight Schrute, he would outrank me.
And he would love to know that too. Yeah.
Actually, you mentioning the fact that we do have Louisville has a great magical heritage.
It does. Yes. Yeah. Tell me about that.
We actually have 2 of the best, I consider the best magicians in the world are from Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
That
And
being-
one of them is semi-retired. One of them is.
Yeah, Lance Burton.
Okay.
He was in Las Vegas for 30 plus years, has his own theater built for him out there. He was a major star in Las Vegas for years.
Okay.
He retired several years ago, but he's back in Kentucky, living back in Kentucky.
Okay.
And he still tours a little bit. He does I was thinking maybe 30, 40 shows a year, something like that. I'm not
Okay.
sure the exact number, but
Yeah.
he'll go to, just across the country. There's a show called Lance Burton and Friends,
Mm-hmm.
and it's himself, a guy named Keith West, who's Illusions, Michael Goudeau, who's an incredible juggler, and Fielding West, who's a great comedy magician.
Okay.
And the other gentleman who's from here but still working out in Las Vegas is Matt King.
Okay.
Incredible comedy magician.
Still working in Vegas.
He's at the Excalibur as we speak.
Okay.
This is being recorded. And if you ever get a chance to go to Vegas, go see Matt King.
Would you say Vegas is like that's obviously the largest venue
place
for
magicians. Guaranteed
Are there
it is.
any other towns that one could make a living as a magician in?
I know that Chicago has a good vibrant scene. They have something called the Chicago Magic Lounge up
Okay.
there, which is
Really? Okay.
it's a bar basically dedicated to magic. I'm
Yeah.
sure New York probably has a good scene. Any of the large metropolitan areas will have something.
Okay.
But as far as if you want to go see the big shows, you have to go to Vegas. That's where it is.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting that some of the biggest magicians are here in Louisville, but I feel like there aren't like huge magician shows here in Louisville.
We bring them, or they've been brought in.
It's like we're exporting that to Vegas,
which is pretty not bad. I know that some of the larger acts have toured through here. I personally have seen in Louisville. I've seen David Copperfield, Doug Henning.
Wow. Okay.
I've seen Penn and Teller here. I recently saw a show called The Foolers, which is if you've seen the show Penn and Teller's Fool Us, some of the acts on there that actually fooled them toured and they came through. I saw that show. There's been a lot of major magic shows that have come through Louisville.
Okay, that's really cool. And are we thinking about doing a show here soon?
That's not for me to say. I do know that our local magic club, the Louisville Magic Club, we present a show every year called It's Magic.
Okay.
It's usually in September, October in that area.
Yeah. What was that hand show? Battle of the Hands?
Oh, Battle of the Hands. That was something that took place at the Comedy Caravan years ago.
Okay.
And that was local magicians basically getting on stage about once a month, just performing and kind of learning their craft, like almost like a magic open mic night.
Yeah.
And they were learning how to do that. So
now, Caravan. I haven't asked how long have you been doing, to switch gears here a little bit, how long have you been doing comedy, stand-up?
I never really did stand-up. I'm a horrible stand-up. I'm a good writer.
Okay.
But I ran the stage.
So you're more of a joke writer than a stand-up?
Yeah.
Than a performer?
I do, performance-wise, I do improv. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
But as far as the Comedy Caravan, when I was there, it was called the Comedy Caravan. It's gone through several owners and name changes.
I was there for the Laughing Derby years. It's a very dark time.
Yes. I passed through there a few times, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
But the Comedy Caravan, Tom Sohl owned that place, and he was
Tom Sohl?
Yeah. Okay. Tom Sohl owned that, and he passed away a couple years ago. And Tom was a good friend, and we did some incredible things in that club.
Was he the original owner?
He was the original owner. Yeah. When he opened, it was called the Funny Farm.
Okay.
And then when the partner he had left, they changed it to the Comedy Caravan.
When did it open? Do you remember? I'm thinking 80s, but
well, the original comedy club in town in Louisville was called Shirley's Comedy Club.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and that was in the Mall St. Matthews.
It was in the mall?
In the mall, yeah. It's like one of the little stores in the mall. And
You're kidding.
Yeah, it used to be the patio lounge, used to be Butch Cassidy's. So it was a little bar in there. And when the comedy boom happened, they opened that club there.
That's wild. I could never even fathom the idea of a comedy club at a mall.
Yeah, and I was actually running sound for that room as well. That's where I got to work with Jay Leno.
Okay.
Louis Anderson, Paula Poundstone, Sinbad.
Wait, so you were getting actual like touring acts in this club? This wasn't just like local scene.
This was before they were big.
Oh.
When Sinbad was there, he was the opening act.
God, I love Sinbad so much. Yeah. He's so funny.
Well, I will tell you my greatest story ever. When I was introducing, I was the voice of God, the back of the house guy, where you basically introduce the act that comes on stage first.
Yeah. Like the narrator.
I'll call it billboarding the show. Your headline night, A, B, C, and D. Then you please welcome your opening act, and then I'll introduce them.
Yes.
My best introduction ever was for Sinbad.
Okay.
And it was the night that University of Kentucky was playing University of Louisville.
Okay.
In Lexington. Okay. And I introduced Sinbad. Said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the only tall black man not in Rupp Arena. Got a huge laugh, and I brought Sinbad on stage.
That's so great.
He
killed.
He killed. He was incredible. He was like I said, he was the opening act, and it was hard for anyone to follow him. So he moved up the ranks pretty quick.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that's one of the nice things about comedy is. It's one of those things where if you're undeniably great, like you're going to get noticed. Mm-hmm. That's not something that you have to play any kind of game towards. It's just go out and be great, and you're probably going to get rewarded for that.
Yeah, the audience will let you know if you're good or not. They will. Yeah. I mean, there's some comedians that have made it. I don't get. They're just not my type of humor.
What do you mean?
I don't see. The people think they're great, they're funny. It's like, and I just don't see it sometimes. I don't see their style. Their style just doesn't agree with me. I'm more of a set-up punchline guy.
Yeah.
And some of these acts are attitude acts or character acts.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that you said that because, I was just, earlier today, I was watching a set from Bill Hicks. Mm-hmm. And, Bill Hicks, I've known about Bill Hicks for years, and he's someone that I've always... have been told is one of the greatest comedians of all time, and I just don't get it. Am I crazy? What do you think?
Bill Hicks was very much edgy attitude.
Yeah.
I never worked with Bill. I only seen him on tape.
Okay.
But I know people who did work with him.
Okay.
Ron Schock,
Okay.
and a lot of the guys that came out of what they call the Texas Outlaws,
Yeah.
that area. That was part of his crew. The screaming preacher guy. What's his name?
Korean preacher.
No,
guy.
the screaming guys.
I don't think I know who you're talking about.
I'm blanking on his name. Isn't that terrible? He was huge. He wore the beret, got in your face.
Wait. Oh, beret. I thought you.
Yeah, we're a beret usually.
I thought you said Fez.
No, it's not Fez. No. Yeah, terrible. I'm blanking on the guy's name. It's
We'll have to think about it.
yeah, I'll get there eventually.
But he's,
Yeah, he was one of those. He came out of a group of people from Texas. It was like
Okay.
this really tight group of people from Texas. He's one of those guys that. And I'll think of saying the name. It's okay.
We are not going any further until we know the name of the guy with the beret.
I'll figure it out. We'll keep talking.
But to a point, Bill Hicks is like someone who is, it's like I feel like Bill Hicks came up around the same time as like Dice Clay, where it's like, they really created this, and you know what, and maybe we get a conversation about how it really started with Carlin, but like, there's this lane of comedy that is, it's not necessarily meant to make you laugh. It's meant to make you think about life. And, this is my perspective, and I want you to listen to my perspective.
Yeah, well, every bit of comedy should have a little bit of you in it.
Yes.
It should. You should know something about the presenter. And, Bill Hicks, he was that angry comic, the kind of edgy, just in your face, tired of the world type guy.
Yeah.
And I think that was really a lot of who he really was.
It's like really on the edge of like comedian and like motivational speaker, or not motivational, just like just a person who's just out there monologuing, almost like a one-man show.
Yeah. Well, most good comedian is one-man show.
I guess that's true. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's there's a lot of action. You're talking about George Carlin earlier. George Carlin actually started very squeaky clean.
Yeah.
Corporate skinny tie suit, and he was doing like the Ed Sullivan Show and stuff like that back in the day, and he was very, very corporate and
really? I had no idea.
100% clean. And then he just, the counterculture came in. He just got rid of the suit, let his hair grow long, and became the voice of that generation.
I think I heard the same about Richard Pryor as well. Richard Pryor looked at Cosby as like the standard for how he should conduct himself as a performer. But eventually, just got tired of not feeling authentic enough.
Yeah, and I think Pryor did the same thing. He found out who he was and found his voice on stage and became that.
Yeah,
and it's like you've been doing comedy a while. You know that one of the things is one of the hardest things to do for comedians is to find their voice.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's been people trying it for years. But once you find that voice, you can say anything in your true voice, and it's gonna be funny.
So you think it's more about being interesting necessarily than saying things that are funny.
Right. Yeah, well, you have to have the comedy there first. You have to have the material.
Yeah.
But I did an improv workshop one time, and one of the comments, I don't remember who to attribute it to, but I'm sure someone might know.
Yeah.
They said, when you're on stage, be interesting. You can do nothing, but do nothing interestingly. As long as they're paying attention to you, that's what matters, because you have to keep that focus.
Yeah. Because at the very least, even if you're not saying something funny, at least you're saying something that they would want to pay attention to.
Right.
Yeah, that's I've taken some improv courses. My girlfriend is in an improv troupe here in Louisville called Extra Crispy, and they just recently won Leo Weekly's Best Improv Troupe, 3rd year in a row, and very, very funny. Very funny in a way that, like, I feel like a lot of improv troupes, they come off as theater kid rejects, where where it's more about like
most improv
there's theater humor and then there's comedy humor, if you know what I'm saying.
They're what they call it, bar prov.
Bar prov. Okay.
Prov, yeah. It's basically how quickly can we get to the dirty joke.
Yes.
That's what bar prov is. They do the short form stuff, the little games that you see on like Who's Line and stuff like that.
Yeah. I didn't know that there was a word for it. I actually really like that term.
Bar prov. And that works because that's what the most bar people want to hear.
Yeah.
It's going to be very fast, very, very,
Do you have any opinions on that, or how do you feel about that?
If it pays the bills, go for it.
Yeah.
When I had my improv troupe, and I was in part of 3 different improv troupes over the years, we had First one was the ReActors.
The ReActors. Okay.
And that was the ReActors, like we're acting. Then we had the Part-Time Theater Company.
Okay.
And then we had Mortal Comedy. Mortal Comedy was kind of we called it competitive improv.
Okay. Is this around the time Mortal Kombat was a thing, like in the 90s? Or?
Yeah, it was, 90s.
Okay. Was it
mid-90s.
spelled with a K?
No, we spelled it with a C.
Okay.
But actually,
As it should be.
we did a show one time, and they actually introduced it as Mortal Kombat instead of Mortal Comedy, which is that's fine. But
Freudian slip.
but it was we pride ourselves on being not going for those cheap jokes.
Okay.
We actually tried to raise the level because we knew our audience wasn't dumb. We could raise our level up here.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in my troupe had a specialty, I should call it.
Okay.
One of our gentlemen, Brent Raymer, he was a history buff. He knew his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Todd, he was our more physical comedian. He would he'd get out there. Eric Hahn, genius. Just he could talk. He had that mind just so fast.
Okay.
My area, I was the jokey guy. I could find the quick joke out of the stuff.
Okay. Find the humor.
We had people that just really Woody Zorn, really incredibly good host.
Okay. And where's this based out of?
It was based out of Louisville. We were based
Really?
we were based out of the Comedy Caravan for years. Yeah.
Really? I had no idea that
Yeah, we had-
Louisville had such a rich comedy improv.
Yeah, we did that
history.
for multiple years, and actually most of the troupe was my wedding, my groomsmen, which is if you imagine my wedding went. But my improv background is.
Didn't have to practice your vows, I assume.
I'm sorry.
Did you improv your vows?
No, it was pretty straightforward. Catholic wedding, you guys stay by the book on that one.
Sure.
But my improv background is besides doing that, I studied with a gentleman named Paul Sills.
Paul Sills.
Paul Sills was the creator of Second City.
Okay.
Yeah, I started with the Compass Players and all that stuff, and then go back into the days of Chicago and all that stuff, and all those players.
That's massive.
He was the guy who put that together. I did 5 times his week-long workshops. I took that 5 different times.
Okay.
And you learn a lot from that. It's, as I said, he never taught me anything, but he showed me
Yeah.
where the answer was. Let me go find it myself.
Where was the workshop at? Was he
It was in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin?
It was up in Door County, Wisconsin.
So after he started Second City, he moved and was based out of Wisconsin.
Yeah, well, I don't know when he moved. I don't know the story about that. But yeah, he had a farm in Wisconsin. They would bring his theater people in.
Yeah.
And we would just do these longer form games, not the quick jokey.
This is the Herald. If I'm not mistaken, right?
We didn't do Herald.
Didn't do Herald,
The
okay.
Herald actually was more, I think, on the comedy. What's it? The Charlotte Halpern's Truth and Comedy side. I think that was more him.
Yes. Truth and Comedy. I'm reading
was
that right now.
Improvisation for the Theater is his book. If you ever read it.
Improvisation for the theater.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was actually his mom was Viola Spolin. The Spolin method. That's where that all comes from.
I see. Okay.
So that's
What is the Spolin? This is new to me.
The Spolin method essentially is theater games.
Okay.
Where you're taking theater, not just doing, how quickly can we get the jokes, how true can we stay in the scene, how long the scene goes, and different aspects of it, and
Okay.
how to share your focus and how to make focus. I mean, go through the book, there's so much in there
Okay.
that you can learn about. And just learning those methods of improv, it kind of changed my life because I look
Really?
at life differently now because instead of going, well, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, just you accept what's given to you and just deal with it.
Okay.
That's all improv
Would
is.
you say that's influenced the way that you see your life?
I'll
like
guarantee
everything
it.
else that
Guarantee it
you-
is. Yeah. It's this thing, I can't deal with this. You go, yeah, you can. It's just there.
Yeah.
It's the rule of improv is the 2 words, yes and,
Yeah.
which means whatever is presented to you is real. You say, yes, this has happened, and here's what we're going to do about it.
Yeah.
Or yes, and I'm going to add to it. Or yes, I'm going to take something away from it. But whatever's given to you, that's true.
How do you get past that barrier? Because like for me, as someone who's just started improv and comedy, like it's so difficult for me to be on stage and not just think like, be funny.
Don't think.
Don't think.
Just be.
How do you just not think?
Just be. You have to you have to trust your scene partner,
Okay.
and you're not trying to take any direction at all. All you're trying to do is what they're giving you, you react to. You if like you have a conversation with somebody on stage, yeah, it might be in some kind of confines that you're given. You're set up a scene like we're 2 doctors in an office talking about this. That might be our setup, but we're just going to have a conversation within that.
Yeah.
And you also have to realize you got to use your physical space. A lot of times I'll see improv troops that get on stage and they stand there and they talk like this and they do that and they just look at each other. They don't use their space.
Right.
Find something in your environment.
Okay.
Pick up a glass. Pick up a magazine. Pick up a hypodermic. That's going to take the scene someplace.
Yeah.
Because your scene partner's going, oh, I need that. Or to put that away. You don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And that's the best part of it.
Where do you think those little nothings come from? Are they just little colors of your experiences of your life that have just sort of permeated through the subconscious? Like
Probably, yeah. It's the thing we call it is called follow the follower.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not leading anything. You're following what the other person's doing, and they're following what you're doing. So you're following the follower.
Oh, I see. So really, it's like, because that's the biggest fear that I have on stage is like, what if nothing comes to my mind?
Then be interesting and don't say anything. Just be interesting.
Just stand there.
I had one of the exercises we did. I remember this specifically. Is they put us in a gift shop. Yeah, it was myself and my scene partner, and we were just looking at knickknacks and stuff. And for some reason, I built this imaginary space, and I'm looking at earrings.
Okay.
And for some reason, I could see the earrings.
Yeah.
And my scene partner was across the floor from me, 10 feet away. And I kind of just looked at him, just held these things up like this. And she looked at me and just kind of like, yeah. We never said a word, but we knew what we were talking about.
Okay.
So, and that's following the follower.
Yeah.
Because I gave her this gift. She gave this acceptance back to her. She could go, whatever she gave me, I had to react to.
Yeah.
It's true. We were doing another one. I was doing a mirror game that's where you follow the person.
Okay.
And they're following you. I got to the point with this one scene partner where we just became the same person. I wasn't following. It was just happening. And there's this moment of zen when you get those.
I think I've seen. I haven't seen that exactly, but I've seen something like that. It's more of a short form game. It's called One Mouth, where there are three people. They're all joined at the arms, and they're speaking
one word at a time, or trying to speak it simultaneously.
Trying to speak simultaneously,
okay.
Right? So yeah, so they all have to be speaking in unison, and just seeing that journey of where they're going to go. It's really fascinating.
That's a tricky game to play, and most of the time you're going to get somebody who's going to lead that, not knowing they're leading it.
Yeah,
but that's going to happen. I'm sure you've heard of the Mr. Know-It-All games, where you have three people answering the question one word at a time.
Wait, say it one more time.
There's games called like the Mr. Know-It-All or the All-Seeing Brain, and it's three people sitting there, and they ask them a question, they answer the question one word at a time.
Yes, we played this in my level 2 course. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
That is a game that you have to listen to your scene partner.
Yeah.
You may have an idea where that question is going to go, but if they say a different word, you got to be ready to take a different direction, and it's got to be the logical direction.
That's something that improv has taught me is how important listening is, because I can have a conversation with someone all day long, but if I'm not remembering details about what they're saying,
right?
Like you can get away with that in a conversation. You can't get away with that when you're creating a scene together.
And also, don't deny.
Yes.
Do not deny. If you deny, your
don't negate.
Do not negate. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, look at this blue horse. That's not a blue horse. Where's your scene going to go? It's dead. It's in the water.
Yeah. That happened to me when I was doing my very first improv jam. And I'm so fresh. I'm just assuming I'm really bad, right? And I think we were improvising a scene that
I give you a hint.
We were going.
We're all bad when we start.
We were doing some kind of scene that there was a scary haunted house and that there were vampires living there, and we stole one of the vampire girl's diaries. I'm like, should we give it back? And one of my scene partners was like, no, let's not do that.
Okay.
And I was okay. Well, now what?
You read the book. You open it up. What's in the book? She didn't say there was no diary. She said that we're not going to give it back. That's your scene.
Yeah.
You take that scene to where it's going to go.
I see. So you're okay. So really, what you're saying is like, in that situation, right? Like, well, the point of the story was just that saying that like I thought I was the one, I thought I was the weak one, right? But I was not the one negating, right? But a really good improv player would still know how to work with that.
Right. Well, what happened there was, one, they asked a question.
Yeah.
Should we give it back?
Yeah.
Asking questions is almost a lazy way of doing improv.
Oh,
because you're asking your scene partner to give you the information.
I see.
We should give this back. It says, should we give it back? We should give this back. And the other person's like, no. And they've accepted what your statement is, but they're saying, no, I don't want to give it back. That gives you a conflict in your scene.
Yeah.
And the conflict is where your scene can develop.
I see. As opposed to just, someone's building the world and you're saying that's not what that is, because that's a totally different kind of
Yeah, you deny it.
negation.
Hey, look at this diary. That's not a diary. That's a chicken. No, your scene's done.
That's a cheeseburger.
Yeah, it's done. I've seen people destroy scenes to get the laugh, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Well, so I'm curious about this. So, you've said that, you're an improv performer and a joke writer, but not so much of a stand-up comedian.
I can't remember the lines.
I was going to say, I feel like those two things both converge towards comedian.
I can't. I'm not the one of those people who can just stand up there on stage and deliver the lines.
Yeah.
If I was doing anything, hosting, I had a piece of paper in front of me.
Do you think it's a little fake? A little. It's kind of like a person pretending to do improv a little bit, right? It's just prepared improv.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Improv is if true improv is you don't know what you're saying until you're up there.
Right.
Some comedians, I could tell time by some comedians what joke they were doing.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's like, they're telling the chicken joke. Must be 14 after. But that wasn't my personality. I work better in a team environment.
Okay.
And stand up it's a solo field.
Right. It's just you and the audience.
You and the audience, yeah.
And it's terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who's done it a few times
Well,
now.
I've tried. I'm just horrible at it. I learned early on that program. I'm drinking water here.
No, please, yeah, by all means. You're really giving me a lot of fantastic information here, and
but I learned pretty well early on. I was decent at writing jokes.
Okay.
Because I was working the clubs night after night. I was working the sound booth at comedy clubs, which is.
So you weren't doing stand up. You were working the sound booth.
I was working the tech side of it.
Gotcha.
And
just here in Louisville or any other?
Here in Louisville.
Okay.
Yeah. I traveled twice to Lexington, but that's like for one night.
Okay.
The advantage I had there was I was seeing these acts night after night after night and watching them develop their acts and work on stuff.
Yeah.
And I could see it from a different set of eyes on their eyes. And I'd say, hey, the joke you're doing about this, maybe you should say this line. And they try it and they get a laugh. One of the first lines I wrote was for a comedian that I remember he used. I think he still uses it. A guy named Johnny Penny. Great guy, good guy.
Johnny Penny.
He was talking about his wife and saying he can't, I can't ever find my shirt. I'm always looking for my shirt. My wife always knows where it is. And talking about, I can't find my clothes. My wife is always doing something with the clothes.
Yeah.
And she said, honey, where's my brown shirt? She says, have you looked for it? He goes, yes. She says, it's in the closet. Have you looked for it? And he goes, I've looked in the closet. And, she's going to come over and pull this miracle. Without even looking, she's going to reach in, grab it, and go, is this the one you're looking for? And it's going to be a shirt. And that it is a very visual thing. It got a great laugh. And Johnny used that joke. And I went, I can do this. And then, I did that for years. Just help people. I write a little joke here, a little joke there, just for the fun of it.
Okay.
And then that was at the Shirley's Comedy Club when I first started. And that's moved on to the Comedy Caravan.
Yes.
Funny Farm at the time, then became Comedy Caravan.
Yeah.
Working with a lot of good comedians there, same deal. And a gentleman named Frank King came through, another great comedian. And at that time, he had a relationship with Jay Leno. This was before Jay took over the Tonight Show.
Yes.
And Jay
he was still probably guest hosting for
Carson.
Yeah, for Carson.
He was still guest hosting on occasion for Carson.
Yeah.
And he would he was able to write jokes and send them in because when Jay was hosting, he had a small group of people that were able to submit jokes.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I've got ideas. Can you connect me with that? And he gave me the connection to get there, and I sent some jokes to Jay.
Okay.
And they sent me a contract. And I was like, oh my gosh, I get to write for Jay Leno.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a rush. And
that's huge. I mean, you hear that, you're like, oh, I've made it.
Yeah, well,
I did it.
But it's all freelance stuff. I'm not out in California. I'm here in Louisville doing it all. I'm sitting on my couch writing jokes.
Yeah.
And
how do you send them in? Over mail or?
No. Back in the olden days, we had this thing called a fax machine. Literally, you had to fax them in.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I would fax them in every morning at noon my time, our time, which is 9 a.m. their time.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was very consistent about that. I wrote every day for 3 hours.
3 hours?
Or at least tried to. Every Monday through Friday for 3 hours.
Okay.
And
do you still do that?
Not anymore because Jay's not taking any jokes for the Tonight Show. But I have reconnected with him, and I can actually send him jokes now because
Okay.
I've reconnected with him on that. Which I found out he's actually going to be on the new Hollywood Square, so I might be able to get some jokes on that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know they were remaking Hollywood Square.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
I think it's coming out in January.
Did you hear about him? Not to sidetrack, but did you hear about him taking a fall a couple
Yes,
weeks
I
ago?
saw the pictures. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
poor man.
I wanted to send him an Uber Eats gift card because he felt he's trying to go down to get to a restaurant. I figured, hey, send Jay an Uber Eats card.
It's like you can afford the Uber, Jay.
I know.
Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, he's doing okay for himself.
Yeah.
But back to being able to write for him.
Yeah.
I wrote. I was able to send jokes in. And at that time, I was sending in. If I go back and look at them now, I'd be horrified at some of the jokes I was sending in. Because I really wasn't learning I hadn't gotten his voice yet.
Okay. So you're writing jokes in your voice.
Yeah.
Because that's the only voice that you know.
So far.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to go, well, maybe he can use this one. But it just wasn't quite there yet. Once I got his voice, I really started hitting jokes.
Okay. How do you do that? How do you find another comedian's voice?
You just watch them. I watch his monologues like game films.
Okay.
I realized he would say this, like, isn't it amazing, or whatever catchphrase he was using, and I would basically write it exactly to his voice.
Okay.
And when I was writing it, I wasn't writing it to be read. I was writing it to be said.
Okay. Because he's saying it out loud.
He's saying it out loud.
Right. Yeah.
So that's when I'm putting it on the paper. That's how I was writing it to be put on paper.
How would you? Let me ask you this: how would you like? What's the difference between a joke that's being read and a joke that's being spoken? I mean,
if you're cruising to the internet or whatever and read a bunch of jokes online,
yeah,
they're gonna be funny because you're reading them online.
Right.
There's some jokes that they can only happen if they're said.
Okay.
I did the first joke I remember putting on the air.
Sounds like there's a performance aspect.
There's
that's
definitely
baked into those
there's
jokes.
definitely a performance aspect of it because they can take a basic line. The first joke I put on the air that Jay used was. To see NASA, they announced they're putting up on the space shuttle a brand new $30 million toilet. My question is, what have they been using up till now? Okay, and this giant space pamper or whatever, and that was his little tag on it. But
Yeah.
if you just read that, NASA's putting up a $30 million space toilet. Okay, that's just a science news.
Yeah.
But my thing was, what are they using now? Or what have they been using up till now?
Yeah.
So
Are they using an outhouse? I mean, what's
giant pampers. It's the way he said it was funny.
Yes.
And when I first hit, I was going crazy. Yeah, I had a joke. And I was, and that was the first year. First year, I think I put maybe 3 or 4 jokes on in the year.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And
Can you give me a ballpark about how many jokes you think you got on the air?
200 to 300 over the course.
Really?
Yeah. The last year I was with him, I put 41 jokes on the air.
41 jokes in 1 year. Wow.
Yeah, and that was average about 1 a week.
Didn't you also? I thought I heard that you said that the last joke he told on the Tonight Show.
Yeah, on Tonight Show. Is that
Not the Jay Leno show that came after?
No.
when
Well,
he was trying.
you hear us. He went Tonight Show, then Jay Leno, then back to Tonight Show.
Right. I was in high school during that whole. I was a hardcore Conan guy during all that drama.
I was one of the guys that actually got to jump from Tonight Show to the 10 o'clock show, and I wrote jokes for the 10 o'clock show too, and then back to the Tonight Show.
Back to the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Wait, not with Jay Leno.
With Jay Leno.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always with Jay.
Right, because he went back to the Tonight Show when they
Show,
let Conan go. Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah,
about that.
and I've heard all the stories about that. I don't know the truth behind that, but that's another podcast.
That's a whole. Yeah, I mean,
a whole other
business
podcast.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I understand the political machinations of Hollywood.
No.
We're in an office building in Louisville.
Yeah, I know. But being able to write for Jay was an honor. And my wife and I went to see him in Ashland, Kentucky. He was in concert. We went to see him and got to go backstage and say hi to him. And I thanked him for letting me write jokes.
Yeah.
And just on a whim, I said, you're still touring. Can you use any more jokes? I go, oh, yeah, as long as they're what they call evergreen jokes, which means can be told forever, and no old person jokes. No, he gave me some parameters. I went, sure. So I've been sending him jokes, a handful of jokes here and there. He hadn't using yet that I know of, but I've been sending, at least I can still send jokes to Jay Leno. Yeah. Which is kind of a cool credit to have.
Come on, what are you talking about? He's one of the greatest talk show hosts of all time.
And one of the best stand-ups you'll ever see.
I've never seen him perform beyond just doing monologues.
He is the guide for everyone else.
Really?
Yeah. He and Seinfeld, I guarantee the guides. They're the ones, because when you walk on stage, he was on stage 30 seconds. He had his first big laugh, if that.
Okay.
And he did it for an hour and a half. Bang, bang, bang.
How do you do that? I mean, is it just?
He's just been doing it for so long. He's just got it down.
Do you think it? Do you think it part of the joke writing is responsible for that, or part of the performance, or somewhere some kind of
It's a mix
meeting
of both.
the two?
It's definitely a mix of both. You've got to have the material to be able to deliver,
Okay.
and it's got to be your material. It's got to be your voice too.
Yes.
Perspective. Writing his voice. Once I got it and kind of figured out how he talked and his mannerisms sometime, and looking at the elements of the show itself, figuring out what I could do to write a joke that could only work on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember.
Would you say you feel it? Because I feel like in order to, Tonight Show, that's a gig where the material demands to be topical, right? Would you say you follow current events, or not
yes.
current events now, but just just as a rule, just generally following the news?
Oh yeah, I had the newspapers, I had the internet. That was my jokes usually dead in 48 hours.
Yeah,
because it's whatever. Here's what's happening now. And here's something funny about it.
That sounds so difficult to let something like that go.
That was the concept for the Tonight Show. Was the monologue was these people who are watching the Tonight Show. They've just watched their local news and they've seen these stories. Hey, here's what's happening in the world. Da da da. And the comedian comes on. Johnny Carson did it, and Conan did it, and everybody. Jay did it.
Yeah.
They come on right after that and say, "Here's some humor about what you just seen on the news," and they talked about it.
Right.
So, and that makes you go, oh, a little lightheartedness.
Right. It's an ebb and flow, right? You've experienced the heaviness of the news. Now let's make a little fun of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And something else I did for Jay, and this is it was my writing style, I guess. I wrote what I called the third joke. When Jay was starting on a topic, whatever's big in the news, he's going to hit it. There's some very obvious jokes that some people are going to make. And I saw them too. And I would see that joke, okay. Many times I'd say, well, that's my joke of the year. And call and say, well, 9 other guys said that same joke. It was an obvious joke.
Yeah.
So I started going, well, what's the obvious joke? And I wouldn't even send that one in. Let someone else do that one.
Right.
I would wait a day or two and go, oh, he's still on this topic. What third little angle can I find on that same topic?
I see.
And I try and write that little more obscure little third joke. I call it third joke. And I hit a lot of those.
Okay.
So, because everybody else is like, I'm going to move on the other big topic, and like, I'm going to stay down here in a little. I'm going to stay in the minor league. You guys go play big ball. I'll get more hits, more home runs, and you guys might get a grand slam occasionally, but I'm going to get more singles and doubles here.
Yeah, probably a lot of good times during the Monica Lewinsky era.
That and the OJ stuff.
The OJ
was.
Gosh, absolutely.
I remember one joke that I definitely remember for OJ was around the holidays. I said, if you're looking for a Christmas present for OJ, I understand he could use a new pair of gloves. And it's a simple joke.
Yeah.
And that's nothing you do.
That sounds like a Norm Macdonald joke. It's just so straight to the point,
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. That's a compliment. I love McDonald.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
The other thing I would do is I'd try and marry 2 stories together.
Okay.
Take topic A and topic B and try to put them together.
Yes.
I don't have one on top of my head right now, but if you could do that, it would work.
That's been, in my journey that has just begun in joke writing, because I've actually only been doing stand-up for a year. Okay. Like I started in January of this year. Okay. Right? And I've been watching comedy for my whole life, and something I've always wanted to do. And so, in trying to figure out just how to write a joke, one theme that I feel like I see a lot in other comedians' materials is the idea of taking 2 things that are seemingly unrelated and making them like, so usually it's like, you'll have a setup, right? That it's a funny idea, but it can't just be that. There's got to be something else that shifts, that catches the audience off guard.
Exactly.
That's
taking that left turn.
What's that?
Taking that left turn.
Taking that left turn.
Yeah.
Would you say that there are any universals in joke writing for finding?
You got to find those 2 elements that don't seem like they have anything connected, but you got to find that connection.
Yes.
Yeah. I unfortunately don't have anything off the top of my head. Like I don't work like I can't be the real fast guy like that.
Sure. Yeah,
I literally sit down.
Oh, I would never. Yeah, it takes me 45 minutes to even sit down to start writing a joke.
Yeah. Well, I would. Like I said, when I was watching Work at the Tonight Show, I would watch the monologue the night before, and I would really write down those topics. Yeah. And I'd go back and watch the monologue from the night before, literally like a game film. Okay. And I go, oh, here's something. Oh, now he's talking about this and this. Oh, I'll give you a great example of a joke where I married 2. It was the last joke I actually did put on the air with him. Okay. And little history on this. This took place during the Olympics in Sochi, Russia. Okay. Okay. And also there was.
Remember the year? I guess it doesn't matter.
It was the Winter Olympics in Sochi.
Okay.
And also,
20-something.
it was, well, maybe it was 90, it was, when did he retire? Was it 2000?
It was like 2010 because I was in college at the time.
Okay.
I remember that.
Whenever he stepped down,
Yeah.
But the joke was, they say the internet in Sochi, Russia is so bad that when you sign on with your laptop or your smartphone, that you're immediately hacked and your information is stolen. I did not even know they had Target stores in Russia. Because the other story at that time was that Target had a major data breach. And all this information, all his credit cards have been stolen. So I took, here's Russia, bad internet, Target story, put them together. That's a mashup joke.
I see.
That was the last joke he did on air, so it made me feel good.
Yeah, I mean, what an amazing credit that is. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I say last joke. He did one little video bit after that, but that's, as far as the setup and punchline joke, that was I take that one.
Now, let me ask you this. So with other late night hosts, like say someone wanted to send them a joke, is there a public avenue to do that, or is it you just have to know someone?
You got to know somebody.
Okay.
I tried to go back when Jimmy Fallon took over the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
I reached out to them, and they basically said, we don't want anyone that Jay had. They say new broom sweeps clean.
Yeah.
And I can understand that.
Yeah, he's got his own voice, He's got his
voice.
own market that he wants to appeal to.
I met Jimmy Fallon years ago, just in passing, not like hanging out or anything, but met him in passing, and I could have probably written some stuff for him.
Okay.
But I think my time has passed in that. I think there's younger, newer writers, a little more hungry than I am at the time.
Sure.
That can do that.
Do you still write?
Occasionally, yeah.
Occasionally? Okay.
Let's see. What's I'm trying to think about. I always put my silly jokes on the air occasionally online. So while you kill some time, I'm going to go to my Facebook page and find something here.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing is, I try to write clean. I try to write. If I can't show my mom, I can't show anybody.
I see, and that's because we were talking about this in the workshop that we were in. Is you can take clean anywhere, right? And you can dirty it up if the crowd calls for it, right? But you can't be dirty everywhere, but you can be clean everywhere. If the joke is funny on its own, without relying on dirty humor, right? You can always add dirt to it later.
Yes, yeah, it's easy to dirty up an act. It's just hard to clean up an act.
Yeah.
Let's see what. Let's see.
I really put you on the spot here.
No, I'm just trying to think. There was one I wrote. I'm trying to think of what it was though. This whole thing about Hunter Biden being pardoned.
Oh yeah.
My joke on that was so Biden pardoned another turkey. What's the big deal? Because the president always pardons a turkey every year for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, he just used him instead of that turkey.
Yeah, this just in: the elf on the shelf has fled the country after a name was found on Diddy's list. Yeah, it's like I try to be topical. That's the other thing when you're writing topical.
Yeah,
you'll get by a little bit quicker because you're right on top of the news story.
Right.
It has to be that evergreen joke.
That's something that I've been kind of thinking about with my own joke writing, as far as like, am I at a place where I should be doing more topical stuff, or should I be working? Because right now, like I don't have an act. I barely have 5 minutes. I mean, you've seen it. It's not great.
I've seen guys do an hour with barely 5 minutes.
But at a certain point, like I feel like I have to decide, like, okay, when am I going to start? Because I'll see open micers who've been doing it for a year, 2 years, and they start writing more topical stuff, and I'm like, but shouldn't you be working on your wouldn't you want to be wouldn't you want to be a comedian who has a good solid 20, 30 minutes before you even think about starting to do topical stuff?
Topical it's fun to have in the back pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You need to have a base act first.
Yeah.
Because topical is always going to change.
Yeah.
I've seen comedians come by and go, hey, remember back when, the 80s when so-and-so was going on? It's like, no, we don't. You have to try to do a topical joke from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever.
Yeah. Like, who's Yakov Smirnoff?
Exactly. He's the king of Branson or whatever. But yeah, there's if you're going to do topical, it's got to be topical. It can't be, I'm trying to think of the act. I was in one of the contests recently. There was someone doing an act about COVID.
Okay.
And all of the news stuff on TV back. I don't remember the act. If I did, I wouldn't say the name because I don't.
Sure. Yeah, of course.
But this was 5 years off. They're doing COVID jokes.
Yeah.
It's past.
It's a little stale.
We all knew it's gone, but it's like, okay, that time's gone.
Yeah.
And you can't do those COVID jokes anymore.
I even feel like when it was relevant, I felt like every professional comedian had an hour that was like, that was their COVID hour. Mm-hmm. And it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we were all kind of beaten over the head with it to the point where it's like, I don't think, honestly, it's like you can make maybe like right as it's happening, but like, you know, we went through it for 2 years. Like, even if it's still going on 2 years in, I don't want to hear any more COVID jokes.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
much less 5 years.
Yeah, it runs its course. And what happens is someone goes, they got one really good joke, they really got that big laugh, but it's not evergreen. It's you know, it's wearing out.
Yeah.
You can't do those jokes anymore.
Now, on the flip side of that, I've also seen comics who, you know, in my heart are like, that's a legendary person to me, right? And I'll see them. I saw a comedian this year, or not this year, last year, who I was like, oh, this is a bucket list comedian. I'm so excited to see them. And then I'd say 80% of their act was from all of the specials that I'd seen 20 years ago.
Yep.
Like, what do we?
Yeah.
But I've also heard, you know, I think actually this was discussed in the workshop, the idea of having of having the hits prepared, like, you know, like you're the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion that once a joke's dead, it's dead.
When you get to that level of fame where people are coming just to see you as a comedian,
Yeah.
and they have expectations, you have to have some of that material.
Yeah.
You know, Seinfeld's got to have the material.
He's still doing Superman bits, probably.
Probably. Jeff Foxworthy.
Yeah.
He's going to do, you know, you might be redneck at least for a few minutes for the rest of his life.
Yes.
He's going to have to.
Because people will.
That's it.
That's what
they
they want to
see. Yeah. I've met Jeff before. A friend of mine was early on with him
Okay.
when he was writing that You Want to Be a Redneck bits.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you ever look up Dobie Maxwell, there's a great story of Dobie tell about saying, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, Jeff. He missed the train on that one. But you know, you can look at the market.
We're not writing for, you know.
Yeah. But I've seen some Jeff Foxworthy specials, and he'll hit a little bit like, here's a couple of them, then let's go into other stuff.
Yeah.
I think it was Seinfeld who said, when you're touring at this level, when you get on stage, you have 5 minutes to be Seinfeld, and then you got to be funny.
Okay.
Which
Yes.
means the crowd's going to go, oh, it's Jerry Seinfeld, he's the best, for 5 minutes. If you're not delivering after that 5 minutes, you're not a comedian anymore. Seinfeld writes a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. He does old stuff because they want to hear the old stuff, but he has enough new stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have validation on this, but I heard at one point that when Jerry was still working the clubs,
Mm-hmm.
he would sit in what they call the comedy condo,
Okay.
which is, you know, back in the day, clubs were one condominium, all the comedians stay there.
Oh, I've heard of this. Yeah.
There's great stories about that too. But apparently Jerry Seinfeld would sit in his bedroom, whatever, and for 8 hours a day writing jokes. And
my
you know,
gosh.
the other comedians, hey Jerry, we're going to get a burger and go play around golf. You want to join us? Because now I got to work. And he'd say, well, no, you got to work. You work tonight. He goes, no. I'm writing my jokes now. Tonight's when I get to perform my jokes. That's for me.
Yeah. And
And he would write every day. And you see where he is now. You know, he's got so much material, he can just go for hours and hours and just never repeat. So it's you know, you say it's, a lot of comedians think, oh, I've got that, you know, 30 minutes, I'll talk about that for the, you know, rest of my life and don't go anywhere. Seinfeld worked on the show and kept going and building up more material, and just, you know,
And that's such an admirable quality. I mean, I really do have like a massive problem with just sitting down and saying, I'm gonna write.
Oh, me too.
You do? Okay, so it's not just me?
No, when I was doing my writing, I challenged myself to write every day from 9 a.m.
Okay.
till noon every day. That's when I was doing my Leno writing.
Is there a lot of like you know, wasting time, just looking at the coffee mug, or you know, just
A lot of times
tapping the
I
pencil
stare at the page. I
Okay.
go, okay, what's out there? My goal was to have between 2 and 10 jokes a day. I wanted at least 2.
Yeah.
And I wanted something going out there every single day. I had a fax sheet back in the day, you know, fax. I had a little caricature of myself.
What's that? No, I'm just kidding.
I had a little caricature of myself
Yeah.
in the corner of the fax page.
Oh, really?
Okay, so
Like a watermark.
Yeah, it was just a caricature. It just looked like, you know, somebody did a little drawing of me at one point, and I put it on there.
Okay.
And and then it had my name and, you know, all pertinent information. So, and I sent it out there every day at the same time. So, you know, noon, bang, that fax kit, it's my joke. He knows he's going to see it.
Okay.
That was my discipline. Sometimes I would write 2 jokes and struggle to get 2 jokes. Other days, the muses would visit me, and I'd write 20 jokes.
Okay.
Okay. But I had the foresight to go, oh, I'm going to send them 12 jokes and hold these other 8 back for tomorrow if I knew they could, they could hold another day.
Just in case, you know, I mean, you're still going to sit down and write, but if you know, if you don't get as much, at least you've got those ready to go.
Also, I realized, you know, I heard other people saying, I'm going to send him, you know, 14 pages of jokes. He's going to go, really fast. If I send him 2 pages of jokes, he's going to pay attention to 2 pages.
Okay.
14 pages, he's going to go through them a lot faster and miss stuff.
Oh, right. Of course. Yeah.
It's like here's the best bits. I'm not going to send. I'm not going to send you a second-rate joke. Just not going to do it.
Right.
Just not going to do it.
How do you determine what's good and what's not? It's just subjective. You're just like, I like that.
I was my harshest critic.
Okay.
I really was.
Yeah, I get that.
And you had to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would send some subpar stuff that made it like, I wasn't really proud of that, but
Yeah.
you can't tell.
Do you think that gets in the way at all of the process, the criticism? Because I've had some conversations with comics who their recommendation for writing is just don't even think about it being funny. Just let your mind wander.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, but does the criticism ever impede that process?
No. Get it on the paper.
Get it on the paper. Okay.
As I tell people, you got to write the stuff to get the bad stuff out, and you just keep writing and putting it on the paper, and eventually you're going to find you're writing some decent stuff.
Okay.
And you kind of mark that, put it off to the side, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're still going to those bad jokes. Later on you might be able to come back and figure out how to make those bad jokes better.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's one of the challenges that I'm working through right now, and just getting more comfortable on the stage. But I'm also learning the difference between bombing in a bad room versus bombing in a good room. I'm learning that there are some more audiences that are a little bit more receptive to what you're saying.
Treat every room as a good room. Never assume your audience is dumb. Assume your audience is smart.
Okay.
Because as soon as you assume they're dumb, they're dumb.
Yeah. And then it's like, well, it wasn't my fault. It was their fault.
No, it's your fault.
Yeah.
If your job was to entertain them, they were not entertained.
Yeah.
It was your fault.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Now, let me ask you this: are there, as someone who has been writing comedy for years, has been performing improv, are there any who are the guys you look to for inspiration?
That's hard to say. As far as my influences, comedic influences, I loved Carlin. I loved his patter, his ways of doing it. I love Robin Williams, his speed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Fantastic performer.
My favorite comedian is a gentleman named Bret Leak.
Bret Leak. Okay, this is new for me.
Bret Leak is I don't think he performs clubs or corporate anymore. Bret had muscular dystrophy.
Okay.
Okay. 2 minutes into his act on stage, you forgot about it because he's just that funny.
Really?
100% corporate clean.
Okay.
He did 5 minutes on cheese, and you're laughing.
Yeah.
But he was one of the guys that he was a wordsmith.
Okay.
And he'd look at his act and go, okay, let's see if I can take this word mood here, get that punchline a little bit closer, a little more punch on the punchline, make it a little stronger. I mean, he would do that every night, just fine-tuning jokes.
Okay. Bret Leak.
Bret Leak, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you can find him online or not. It's Leake.
Okay.
Bret with 2 T's, not
one
T.
Do you have anything online?
No.
I did. I actually know I did a little research. I was like, where's he get? I got to see some of this stuff.
I have some old stuff, but I was on a website for a while called Funny for Money.
Okay.
And it's a weird little website.
Funny for Money.
Funny for Money, yeah.
Is that the OnlyFans of back in the day?
No, this was a weird little website, and it was only around for a couple of years. But the concept was they put this topic, and you would do a video punchline to it.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
And if the guys like fan voted who got the best punchline, you win like $50 or $100, and somebody else who would vote on it, one of the voters would win money as well.
Okay.
And it got to the point of that thing where I was dominating that site. It's myself and a handful of people here in town. We were just tearing that site apart.
Wow.
A friend of mine named Roland Witt was on there. We just destroyed that site because we knew how to write those jokes.
Yeah.
But there's people from all over the country on there.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and it was. I made some friends on there. I'm still friends with as far as on Facebook and stuff, just through that comedy site.
Oh, sure, yeah. I feel what that is today. Those that sounds like the TikTok comments, because that's what it is now. You see a funny video or a setup of a video on TikTok or on Instagram, and then you look at the comment, and it's literally every single comment is just someone thinking up a punchline to that video.
Yeah. I've seen those, but this was the way, I guess, before that all happened. It was a way to make money. They tried to sell the website commercially, and they sold to some people who started insulting the writers. We went, well, we're done, we're gone. They literally were trying to, because they would do this web show.
Yeah,
they had this funny people in there hosting the show, and they play our videos, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. How do they show the punchlines? Was it
We would sort of sit on our webcam and just record to the camera and send them in. And they had the setup, and the setup be like, a man in India has 38 children, and that'd be the setup, and we'd do a little punchline to that, whatever it was.
yeah?
And we'd have just a whole bunch of them. And people go through and click them and like them and do whatever. And
That's so
It
cool.
was-
I
it
wish
was-
that existed still.
it was
I
a
would
very,
love to make a little cash for some punchlines.
it was a unique concept. And I wish it could take it off, but we had fun doing it. Like I said, we made some friends out of it.
Yeah.
And it also helped me on my writing skills because I was writing every day doing that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's something. Write 10 jokes a day about your anything. Doesn't matter.
Do you feel like the morning is better for writing or the evening?
Depends.
I guess it depends on the writer.
Depends on the writer. Yeah. I did morning writing mainly because of the time frame I needed to get them to Los Angeles.
Sure.
But
Pragmatic.
but was I writing all day long? Yeah. If I thought of a joke, at that time I had a tape recorder. Literally, I talking to my tape recorder. Hey, this middle of the night, wake up. I got an idea for a joke. Just talking to the tape recorder.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think what news topics are in right now here. So
Well, I wanted to do this as well. We've kind of explored, the two major, we'll say the major pillars of this
major
interesting
pillars of
life
comedy.
you. I want to hear about because I feel like there's some unmined material here because you're a DJ also.
Yeah, I do. I've been working in. I worked in nightclubs for 30 plus years.
Okay.
If you're from Louisville and old enough to remember these places, I worked at Phoenix Hill Tavern.
Oh, I was at Phoenix Hill right at the end, right before they closed.
I worked there during the heyday. I saw the Ramones there.
No way.
I saw Green Day there. I saw Albert Collins there. I saw Warren Zevon there.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love him.
yeah, and basically I was doing the sound and sound lights and playing music on breaks there.
Right.
I also worked at a place called City Lights, which
Okay.
was a club downtown, which was, if you're old enough to remember the clubs, it was one of the best clubs around because it was a kind of melting pot club.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it was a great club. It was
Like
down
a dance club?
Good band, yeah, a dance, dance
Okay.
drink party.
Yeah.
And the band actually owned the club, which is cool. But one night down there, Cheap Trick came in, the entire band came in.
Whoa.
And just threw the band on stage. Said, we're gonna play a set. They played a set.
Oh my gosh.
Tommy Lee came in one night, but I was the DJ there. I was the break guy. I played.
I see. Okay. Yeah.
I started out when I was 17 at a place called Peter Outlaws.
Never heard of it.
No, because it's been closed since 1983, 84, something like that.
Okay.
I started when I was 17 years old, and that's kind of where I learned the business.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, I worked with a lot of good bands there, and I learned how to play music. I got a great appreciation of music, old and new.
Yeah. So you have a very eclectic interest. I mean,
Yeah.
you've
Everything.
done a lot of different things professionally.
Yeah.
And
I could not have a 9 to 5 job; it would kill me.
I was gonna say, how did you kind of get down this path of just because I also I really resonate with that. Like I have trouble honing into one individual interest. Like if I could just make a living doing all of the things that I just like to do, like that's kind of the dream to me.
And I was also on radio for a little while too.
What's that?
I was also on radio for a little while.
Oh, were you on the radio? Okay.
If you remember WLRS,
No,
you remember Brian Clay from WQMF.
I did not. The only radio station I ever listened to was Wacky.
Oh, Wacky.
Oldies.
Okay.
Yeah, good times, great oldies. Yeah.
Okay, you might know Mitch Mitchell. She was on there.
Oh, really? Okay.
She's a friend of mine too. But back in the day, during the heyday of radio in town, the top guy in town was a guy named Ron Clay.
Okay.
He was at one point actually teamed up with Terry Miners, and they jumped to QMF. And I worked at WLRS Radio for about 6 months doing that. Just
WLRS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Louisville's radio station.
What were you doing there?
I was on air talent.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
playing the records. Hey, coming up next, here's a 4 in a row from WLRS. Otherwise, 1 or 2, playing your greatest hits all night long. Just doing all your standard radio stuff.
Yeah.
I think WKRP in Cincinnati, that's what I was doing.
Okay.
And I was
I have
overnight.
such a romantic idea of what that is.
Yeah,
I would love
great.
to do that.
It was great. I was the overnight weekend guy. I did like 2 shifts a week,
Okay.
but it was a blast.
Do you feel like you had to know a lot about music in order to do that
To a
job?
degree,
or-
you had a strict, you had a playlist you had to go by,
Okay.
and you knew a little bit about it.
So a lot of that stuff is sort of lined up for you a little bit. Like
Yeah.
you're like who's setting the playlist?
The music director.
Music. Okay.
Yeah, and they would say, "Here's the songs." We have a little bit of freedom, like that Beatles song's been played I think too many times. So we skip that one, just go to the next one.
Okay.
We were playing these things called records, big vinyl things.
Yeah.
Back in the day, that's what we were doing. So And then the radio station was in the 800 building downtown. So there's some great stories about that. I mean, if you were doing a podcast about that, I can actually get you some old people that are on air there. They can give you some great stories.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
but you're doing DJ events now, though, still, right?
I still
Freelance?
DJ. Yeah, we call it freelance. I try and do weddings, parties, whatever you bring me in for. I've got a New Year's Eve gig coming up. I've got a wedding coming up this month.
Okay, is that a bit more volatile with brides being very particular about what they're looking for?
Luckily, I've not run across a bridezilla yet.
Okay, I was trying not to use the term, but yeah, that is what I'm referring to.
I try to do enough research ahead of time.
Yeah.
Where I know the people and I try and develop a good relationship with them ahead of time.
Okay.
And I use quite a bit of humor in that. When I'm talking to people, it's like, I'm being silly, I'm being fun with them. I let them know that it's their day. If I'm talking to the bride and groom, one of my standard lines is, okay, this is her day, you know that. Your job as the groom is to show up in a tux with 3 or 4 of your friends dressed the same, mostly sober. And it usually gets a little chuckle just like that. And it lets them know that, hey, it's going to be a nice time. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
I'm paying attention to what you guys are doing, but we do know it's her day.
Yeah.
And it always is. The only 2 people I pay attention to at the wedding is the bride and whoever sent my check. That's it.
Not always the same person.
Not always the same person. Usually not the same person. Bride. Yeah. My favorite ones is I did a wedding for a couple. And I'm talking to the bride, and I said something about, well, we need this. And she goes, talk to him. He's paying the bills. I'm like, okay. They were doing a wedding at Udell Gardens, and they need a second.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
They need a second sound system because they were getting married up in one of the green areas.
Okay. Yeah.
and they had the reception down in the pavilion area.
Yeah.
So I had set basically 2 sound systems. So I couldn't move them on one. So one was just for the ceremony, and then when they moved down, I had the other one going.
Oh my gosh.
Then I added the second one to my first one.
Yeah.
So I had a nice big sound system for the room.
Are there any? How does the playlist work? Are you just playing whatever they want, or
They generally give me a playlist of the songs they want to hear for their wedding. It's like, give me. I suggest just give me your playlist. What do you want to hear?
Yeah.
Give me a genre usually. And also give me the do not playlist.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to hear this song or that song. And a lot of times it's like there is that one song, and I'll tell them like maybe your ex and you had a song that together you don't want to hear at your wedding. Like let me know, it won't be played.
Yeah. What about chicken dance? Are you still
chicken
getting
dance?
Chicken dance
Chicken
requests?
Chicken dance took us hit. Cha cha slide, Cupid shuffle, all the line dances. All
They're
that stuff.
still in there, huh?
Yeah, they're still in there. Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes I get the request saying, "Don't play them, please don't play them." But
yeah, you'll get those millennial couples who are like, we want it to be truly original, an original wedding. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've played some cool songs out there.
Yeah.
I've had pretty much anything you can think of. I've played at weddings.
Any Steely Dan requests?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Ricky, Don't Lose That Number. Hey 19, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a remix of Do It Again and Billie Jean together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
It was done probably in the right after Billie Jean came out.
I would love to check that out. I'm a big Steely Dan. That's my favorite band of all time. Which I'm kind of bummed. I would love to. I don't know. I assume you have taste in music if you work in the radio industry. Have you any interest in yacht rock or seen that new yacht rock documentary?
No, I know what yacht rock is. I would love to see some of the bands that came through that era. I saw Three Dog Nights coming to town.
Okay.
I saw Three Dog Night when I was like 16 or 17 years old.
No way.
Yeah, back in the first tour. I saw Redbone Grassroots.
Okay.
I saw Kiss.
Whoa, okay.
I saw Led Zeppelin.
Whoa.
Yeah. Zeppelin's touring again.
Is that right?
Yeah, apparently they're going to do, I guess, a limited tour.
No way.
I've seen Pink Floyd twice.
Boy, what do you think those tickets cost, huh?
Oh,
$300,
God.
$400?
No, probably more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of my favorite trivia facts, I don't have validation on this, but I've heard this is true, is do you know where Robert Plant lives?
No.
Bowling Green, Kentucky.
No, he does not. Are you kidding me?
Or at least he has a house there. I've heard this. I've heard from a couple of different sources he has a house there. Apparently his wife works down in Nashville.
Okay.
And it's close enough for them to go to Nashville and everything and then go away.
Yeah.
And it's a college town, so nobody knows who he is. So he has his privacy.
The irony of that.
Yeah. But apparently he has a house down there. I've heard some people say he kind of hangs out at the diner there and just does his thing. He's like, nobody knows who he is. So.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah. But I saw Robert Plant with Led Zeppelin, also with the Alison Krauss, and it was an incredible show.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got people again. I think the theme of this is people assume that Louisville doesn't have a lot of like big acts or celebrity. But we've got a lot of
lot
really
of-
talented people who live here.
Yeah, well, they came through here. You know, we have, of course, Muhammad Ali, the big one.
Absolutely.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
One of the original Musketeers is from here.
I did not know that. Okay.
I can't remember which one is one of those is here.
Not Britney Spears.
No, one of the original Musketeers. Like
original, okay.
original, not the Britney.
I understand. Okay.
Of course, Jack Harlow. You know, he's kind of blown up around here.
Yeah.
I met Jack at a celebrity event years ago.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
I think we've done some work with Jack on some of their music videos here.
Yeah, he's from what I've met with him, seems like a super nice guy. He's very, very chill. Of course, I always mention Conrad Bachman from the movie Tremors. He's if you watch the movie Tremors, I think he plays either the doctor or the sheriff. He's like one of the first guys to get eaten.
Oh, really?
He's from Louisville.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Well, Return of the Living Dead, that was shot here too. Some
Blackula was shot here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
of course, the movie Stripes was shot here.
Yes.
I've got a friend. I got a couple friends who are in that movie.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
one of my friends, his claim to fame is he's walking in the back of the shot when they're throwing the luggage in the trunk.
Yeah.
He's in the background shot.
I bet he brings that up every time you see him at a house party.
Every time. But he's a nice guy. He's actually a filmmaker too. So.
Okay. And you know Don G as well. The great Don G.
I've known Don G for many, many years, back to when she was doing her comedy days, which
She did comedy?
she did comedy, and she was very, very good at what she did. She worked at the comedy club, and she went on stage many times.
Wow.
And I will never release the tapes. I promise her that.
But you got him.
Yeah, but Dawn, she is just a good friend, and she is an incredible talent. I mean, she is Louisville as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, this
bedrock of Louisville culture.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
And she is a sweet, sweet person. So,
Really, I've never met her personally, but I feel like I see her at a lot of the same events, and it seems like she really does a lot for the city.
She does, and she is a genuine person. I mean, she's had her ups and downs in life,
Sure.
and she's very open about that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, she is just a go-getter. She never slows down.
Well, you can't, it's
I think I saw her at U of L about 6 weeks ago. We did a show with her. At U of L.
Really?
Yeah. She was just the MC at the show.
okay.
Yeah, it's great because he's like, everybody's like, Dawn, she's a big star. I was like, just Dawn. For me,
just John. Yeah, I call her G. Like, what's up? What's going on, G? How you doing?
No, I do call her Dawn. And one of her best friends is a good friend of mine from back in the day, who's actually married to one of the Louisville Crashers, so she's got that connection too. So,
Really? Okay.
yeah, there's Louisville is I call the world's largest small town.
Yes.
Everybody knows everybody. Everything is
I
20
think it's
minutes
Reno.
away.
It's not Reno. It's Louisville.
No, it's. Now, so people say, how far away is that? It's 20 minutes. Everything in Louisville is 20 minutes away. No matter where you're going, you can get there in 20 minutes.
Yeah, 100%. It's a great town. I mean, I love it here.
Everybody knows each other. I mean, the connections are very short. It got to the point where I was doing enough shows with Greg Fisher.
Okay. Yeah.
I called him by his first name. Not like Mr. Mayor's like, hey, Greg, you just get to know these people.
What do you think Greg's up to now that he's not mayor?
I don't know. I'm probably chilling out, just enjoying life, hopefully.
Taking it easy?
Yeah, enjoying life.
I'd hope so.
Playing some golf, eating some food.
Yeah.
Whatever he does. I don't know what his hobbies are.
Greg, come on to the show. No.
Sure, I'm sure he may, get you on the show. It's like I know a lot of these podcast things work where this guest knows this guest, and they make those connections for you. That's how a lot of things work. So
yeah, that would be very cool.
But I'm cool. This is like our very first hour. I guess, are we at an hour? Probably over an hour.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think we're probably going to wrap it up here soon.
I mean, we're at the first video one, which is kind of cool.
I know this is people are historians in 50 years are going to look back and they're going to see this video and they're going to say this is where it all changed.
And we got the props to our producer Chuck Rogers, who Chuck and I used to work together at a company many years ago.
Yes, and we work together now.
Yeah, and he worked together now. So yeah, Chuck's one of the guys that just knows how to do everything.
And you need to be able to do that in this world. You know,
it's true.
Yeah. But this was so fantastic, Bret. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm glad I could be part of this. It's a fun time. I look forward to watching us online. I'm showing it to my wife, saying, "Hey, look, I'm on the TV."
We'll have to send some clips out for her so she can.
I'm sure she'll
just go back and watch them over, over and over and over. Just just admiring your greatness.
Silly is here.
Yeah,
I'm just a silly person. What can I say, man? This has been fun. So maybe we do another one sometime soon, or maybe a year from now, whatever. Figure out something else to talk about.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a couple other big time celebrities in here, and then we come back, and then we see where we've been. Yeah.
I can bring in. I'm probably get a couple guys in here to talk for you about some stuff, some cool things.
Okay.
Maybe I'll talk to Conrad Bachman, see if he wants to come on to do a show for you, because he runs the Louisville International Festival of Film.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a pretty big deal. So
Well, we'll talk about it.
Maybe we'll get some magicians in here too. For I mean, since we're doing the TV, maybe we get some magicians on there.
And just like that, we're gonna do a disappearing act.